Lisowczycy, a chorągiew elearska, or in singular form, Lisowczyk or elear, the name of an early 17th century irregular unit of the Crown Kingdom of Poland and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth Light Cavalry. The Lisowczycy took part in many battles across Europe, and the historical accounts of the period characterized them as extremely agile, warlike, and bloodthirsty. The numbers varied with time, from a few hundreds to several thousands. The origin of the group can be traced to Konfederacja, organized around 1604 by Aleksander Józef Lisowski. They began to grow in strength and fame a few years later, when Lisowski's irregulars were incorporated into the forces fighting in Muscovy. The Lisowczycy unit of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth cavalry received no formal wages. Instead, they were allowed to loot and plunder as they pleased. They relied on the speed and fought without tabors, foraging supplies from lands they moved through. The Lisowczycy were feared and despised by civilians wherever they passed, and they gained dubious fame for the scores of atrocities they carried out. However, they were also grudgingly respected by their opponents for their military skills. They did not hesitate to plunder even the homeland, where they sacked the Rakovian Academy University of the Polish Brethren. Such actions were among of the reasons the Commonwealth ruler Sigismund III Vasa tried to keep them away from the Commonwealth for as long as possible. The Lisowczycy took part in many conflicts, including the Dimitriads and in the Battle of White Mountain. They were eventually disbanded in 1635. An account of Lisowczycy's exploits was written by their chaplain, Wojciech Dębelecki, in Pruagi Era Polskiego Nigdy Lisowczykami Złano. Prologue. The Konfederacja. In 1604, during the early stages of the Polish-Swedish War, the Sejm of the Commonwealth failed to gather the money to pay its soldiers fighting in Livonia against the Swedes. Aleksander Józef Lisowski became one of the leaders of the resulting Konfederacja, a section of the army that mutinied and decided to gather its outstanding wages by pillaging local civilians, not caring whether these owed their allegiance to the Commonwealth or to Sweden. Although this annoyed the Commonwealth commander, Hetman Jan Karol Chodkiewicz, and resulted in Lisowski being banished from the Commonwealth, little was done to stop the mutineers. Soon after, Lisowski with his followers joined the Sandomierz rebellion or Rockers of Zebrzydowski, a revolt against the absolutist tendencies of the Commonwealth ruler Sigismund III Vasa. Trial of blood. The Dimitriad. Eventually, after the rebel forces were defeated at the Battle of Guzo, Lisowski's fortunes turned for the worse and he became persona non grata in most of the Commonwealth, and was forced to seek refuge with the powerful Radziwiłł family. In the meantime, Muscovy's time of troubles were brewing, and Lisowski did not pass over the opportunity of profiting from this, as many other local magnates and noblemen already had by meddling in Russian affairs. He soon decided he could profit best by lending his support to the Muscovite pretender, false Dmitry II. In 1608, together with Aleksander Kleczkowski, leading his forces, a band of few hundred ragtag soldiers of fortune, mainly Lithuanians, Poles, Don Cossacks, Ruthenians, Tartars, Germans, Swedes, he defeated the armies of Tsar Vasily Shuisky, led by Zachary Leopanov and Ivan Korvinsky, near Zarask, and captured Mikhailov and Kolomna, moving on to blockade Moscow. However, he was soon to be defeated at Miedziewski Brod, losing most of his loot. He reorganized the army and joined with Jan Piotr Sapieha, but they failed to capture the Troitsa Sergieva Lavra fortress and were forced to retreat to near Rachmaninovo. Then came successful pillages at Kostroma, Sologalik, and some other cities. He took Pskov in 1610 and clashed with Swedes operating in Muscovy During the Ingran War, the Lisowczycy proved essential in the defense of Smolensk in 1612, when most of the Commonwealth Regular Army, the mutinied and joined the Rohatyn Confederation. For the next 3 years Lisowski's forces were of importance in the guarding of the Commonwealth border against Muscovy incursions. In 1615, Lisowski gathered many outlaws and invaded Muscovy with 6 companies of cavalry. He besieged Bryansk and defeated the Muscovite relief force of a few thousand soldiers under Knyaz Yuri Shakowskoy near Karachov. Lisowski moved on to defeat the Muscovite advance guard of a force under the command of Knyaz Dmitry Pozharsky, who decided not to attack and fortified his forces inside a camp. Lisowski's men broke contact with other forces, burned Belyov and Lykovin, took Peremyshal, turned north, defeated a Muscovite army at Rzhev, turned towards the Kara Sea coast, then to Kashan, burned Torzhok, returned to Commonwealth without any further contact with Muscovy forces. Until the autumn of 1616, Lisowski and his forces remained on the Commonwealth-Muscovy border, when Lisowski suddenly fell ill and died on October 11. Lisowski's soldiers in northern Russia. In 1612, when Polish-Lithuanian occupation of the Moscow Kremlin had ended, loose Polish-Lithuanian Zaporozhian Cossack forces, which had fought under Lisowski, scattered over vast territory of the Tsardom of Russia, taking advantage of the so-called time of troubles. Exact whereabouts of Aleksander Józef Lisowski at that time are unknown. The legendary leader most likely roamed across northern Russia, together with his men. After Russian recapture of Moscow, most of the Polish-Lithuanian brigands headed to the area of Vologda. On September 22, 1612, the town was captured, looted and burned by the invaders commanded by Colonel Andrei Aleksander, who returned in December 13 of the same year. On December 16, Poles and Lithuanians burned the Spaso-Prilutsky monastery, located near Vologda. On July 10, 1612, Poles and Lithuanians captured Belozesk without fight. The town was looted, and its governor fled to Kirilov, hiding in the fortified Kirilo-Belozerski monastery. Lisowski's men reached the monastery on August 20, but its siege did not begin until December 1612. Since Polish-Lithuanian brigands, numbered at some 3,000 men, did not have any artillery, they failed to capture the abbey with its stone walls. On December 12–15, 1612, a unit of Bobovsky 3 times tried to capture the town of Kargopol, located on the left bank of the Onega River. On January 25, 1613, Poles, Lithuanians and Cossacks led by Jakub Jaki attacked the town of Veliki Ustyug, but without success. In search of food and booty, Lisowski's soldiers moved further northwards, reaching as far as Yemysk on the Yemtsa River, Solvyshegisk, Kolmogry, and Arkhangelsk. Solvyshegisk was captured and looted on January 22, 1613. The brigands stayed in the town for 3 days, and then headed towards Yemysk, which is located 150 kilometers from Arkhangelsk. Its residents, aware of the danger, managed to fortify the town and arm themselves. The Lithuanians, as they were commonly called, tried to attack the town from the northern Dvina River, but were repelled. A battle ensued, in which 2 Russian traitors were captured and sent to Kolmogry, where they warned residents of a planned attack. The brigands, numbering some 1,200 and commanded by Stanislaw Jasinski, appeared at Kolmogry on December 6, 1613. Again, they failed to capture the town, and decided to head to Arkhangelsk, which they unsuccessfully besieged between December 14 to 19, 1613. Jasinski and his soldiers then marched towards the northern Dvina River estuary and the White Sea shore. There they captured Severodvinsk and burned Nikolo-Korelski Monastery, after which they ransacked local villages, reaching as far as Karelia. Death of Lisowski, birth of the Lisowczycy. The name of Lisowczycy was carried by the troops ever since Lisowski's passing. Despite his death, they remained a most significant threat. In 1616 they captured Kursk and defeated Russian forces at Burkov. In 1617 relieved Smolensk from a Muscovite siege. The invading troops retreated to Bely as soon as they received news that the Lisowczycy, then under the command of Stanislaw Czarplinski, were in the neighborhood. When Czarplinski died at Kaluga, Lisowczycy elected Walenty Rogowski for the new commander. They accompanied Władysław's forces in 1617, and while he retreated, they are said to have moved inland as far as the Ob River, where they were shown to have been impressed by a giant golden statue. Devils in the Holy Empire. From 1619, the Lisowczycy, then stationed near Kaunas, were sent by Zygmunt III Vasa to aid Ferdinand II, Holy Roman Emperor, against the Protestants in the 30 Years' War. Under the command of Walenty Rogowski, they defeated Transylvanian forces under George I Rákóczi at the Battle of Zawada and/or Battle of Humane in November of that year. After the victory, they engaged in the traditional pastime, plundering nearby lands, killing even children and dogs. As contemporary chroniclers recorded, it was around that time that they gained the new nickname, Riders of the Apocalypse. Then Lisowczycy split. Part of them, with Rogowski, decided to return to Poland, pillaging Slovakia on the way. Others, under Jarosz Kleczkowski, remained in the service of the emperor for the next few years. After the death of Kleczkowski at the Battle of Krems, Stanislaw Urzanowski became the new commander of the Lisowczycy. Under Urzanowski, the Lisowczycy took part in the Battle of White Mountain, where they captured 20 standards. On May 7, 1621, the emperor paid them their outstanding wages and released them from service due to numerous complaints about their behavior. Some of them returned to Poland, others served under Maximilian I, Elector of Bavaria. Skóra and Chocim. The Lisowczycy fought in the wars between Commonwealth and the Ottoman Empire, not least in the last phase of the Polish Magnates' Wars in Moldavia. Battle of Skóra, Battle of Chocim. Epilogue. After the conflict with the Ottomans was settled, many Lisowczycy, then under the command of Stanislaw Strojanowski, were taken into German employment during the mayhem of the 30 Years' War, mostly in support of the Roman Catholic Emperor, against his Protestant enemies. Their indiscipline and pillaging became legendary, and they devastated the nearby German lands of the Holy Roman Empire, especially Silesia. The local population often believed it was being attacked by Tatar hordes and non-European barbarians. Eventually, after the French declined to employ Lisowczycy mercenaries, and other sides of the conflict turned them down as well. In 1622, Strojanowski decided to officially disband the unit and return to the Commonwealth. However, the Lisowczycy proved to be a pestilence wherever they went, and soon most of its members formed bandit groups, pillaging the Commonwealth and German countryside and burning down the town of Radomsko. Condemned by the Szlachta and by many Sejmiks, they were increasingly hunted down by local government forces and militias. Strojanowski's group was destroyed in 1624, and he himself was executed 2 years later. The last time that companies using the Lisowczycy name took part in a major war was during the late 1620s, when they were temporarily reformed to fight in Poland's contiguous continuing conflict against the Swedes in Polish Prussia. Yet another stage of the Polish-Swedish War, the same conflict that set Aleksander Lisowski on the path to forming the unit that was to bear his name. These Lisowczycy were finally disbanded by an act of the Sejm in 1636. Even after the formation was disbanded, its members were respected even beyond the Commonwealth. Soon, their atrocities were forgotten, and their exploits as the defenders of the Commonwealth and faith against the Orthodox, Protestants and Muslims turned them into a legend which lives on to this day.